People have been crying for the president to come back. He's back. Is it going to make a difference? I understand he presided over a top security meeting today. Should he be declaring states of emergency in places like Borno, Plateau, and Benue states? Because it seems to many people that that is where you need to declare a state of emergency, not in Rivers State.
That's absolutely correct. The president must at this time realize that he's not just commander-in-chief, he's also the consoler-in-chief. At this time, one expected that few hours after returning back to Nigeria, he should have been in Plateau by now, should have visited Benue and other parts possibly by now. Emergency
he only
declaration.
just got back last.
It doesn't live forever. He's the president. He's the president. If this president were proactive, if this president indeed cares about the Nigerian people, that's what he should do. But alas, he doesn't care. They don't care about us. That's the truth about the whole state of our country. Nigeria appears like an abandoned state, more like a conquered territory. All right, so that the president met with the service chiefs and all of that, that's not what we need now. The president should rejig his approach to governance.
No, but he has to obviously meet the security chiefs in order to get a sense of what's been happening. I'm just saying
that we've had series of such meetings and nothing came out of it. So a different approach could apply. And one of the approach that the president should please adopt is the human part of governance, which is why I said he is also the consoler-in-chief. But we haven't seen him do that. And like you rightly said, this is where to declare state of emergency. Life seems to be worthless in our country. People die and we just move on. And they die in numbers and we just move on. So am I expecting anything different from him? Well, 2 years already. It's almost 2 years. And we haven't seen any different approach to governance. This president is just adopted the Buhari method. Sit, condemn, meet with service chiefs, give orders. But the real issue about governance is not there on the table. That's why, like I said, the issue of state of emergency, this is where to declare it. But are we not being distracted by politics of 2027 already? If you go around the FCT, you see the president's billboards everywhere talking about 2027, when he still has 2 years plus to go, and there's nothing to show for it already for the 2 years. It's unfortunate. Politics is taking over governance, and if anybody is expecting anything different, then we don't understand this system called Nigeria yet.
He has arrived now, which we expect that there should be increased reaction or even preventive measures, to save us, from this this difficult to understand situation, situation that has become almost intractable. And of course, you begin to wonder why are non-state actors overpowering us, the might of our security agencies, where billions of money, have been expended, in trying to ensure that we deal with this circle of crisis, from insurgency to kidnapping to banditry, and now we are just witnessing difficult to understand murder. And you begin to wonder again, what's wrong with our ability to ramp up our mechanisms for dealing with them? We have debated several measures in the past. So what's wrong with technology? If these fellows are matching us at the level of the kind of weaponry that our military or our security agencies hold, why can't we overpower them at the level of technology? What has happened to drones? What have happened to, what do you call it now, unmanned aerial, what do you call it now? Those kind of sophisticated area vehicles, sophisticated technologies that we see used in other parts of the world, you just make us believe that we have not been able to solve the problem. And of course, I'm not going to be surprised. Of course, we'll keep praying that it shouldn't happen again, but that's what we'll keep doing at every circle. And it seems that our response is simply episodic. Knee-jerk, you react to it, then of course we go back to bed again, then they strike again. And it's very, very disturbing, really.
So let me ask you this question. Is Nigeria really a captured state now? Is Nigeria really an abandoned state where our politicians, as corrupt as they are, become our conquerors? Literally, they've conquered Nigeria. Do you really think that Bola Tinubu really cares for Nigeria and that what he's done so far is for the benefit of our country? What is life really worth in our country? Because people are dying like flies. And the man says life seems to be worthless in Nigeria. People die in their numbers. And as people died in their numbers, our president spent 18 days in France. Says he's working from France, remotely, governing our nation. And then he condemns the killings, and then he came back and met with service chiefs. But he hasn't gone to see the people who have died, the states that have been ravaged with this terror and this banditry and this insurgency. Now let's break this down because this is for you and I to analyze and to look at the caliber of leaders that we have. But please make sure you watch this to the end. And if you're meeting this content for the first time, like, share, and subscribe. And if you've been following us and you've not yet subscribed, please do so. So let's get right into it. We've spent billions of dollars to fix insecurity, but something seems to be amiss. And something seems to not work. So the question has always been that, who are the beneficiaries of this insecurity? A lot of postulation says our politicians are the beneficiaries of the insecurity. First of all, they're the ones who get the contract for the weapons anyway. So they provide this. They're part of it. Sometimes they part the budget for it. But yet, not one service chief has been sacked. The Inspector General of Police, the Chief Security, the NSA, the CDF, the Chief of Defense Staff, nobody have lost their jobs. So I'm asking, should Bola Tinubu immediately arrive? Should he have visited Plateau, Benue State, Borno, all of those areas that have been ravaged by this insecurity? I don't want to ask you if you think that Tinubu is proactive, because it is obvious that he is not, because a president who was proactive would have left whatever he was doing during the attack and came back to Nigeria. So he didn't do that. So let's don't talk about that. Okay. But I think the one question that beggars for answers is this. Is there going to be anything different now that he's back? You know, amidst there's so many things wrong with his presidency at the moment, do you think there will be some change because of the agitation, the people clamoring for better governance? Is there going to be a new approach? Do you foresee any sense of productivity out of his government? It's been 2 years already. If I ask you in the comment section, what do you think that he has achieved so far in 2 years? Actually, I think that's the first question I should have asked anyway. What has Tinubu achieved in 2 years? Because they're talking about 2027. All the fights over River State and other states bowing out to him and saying they want him to be the top of the ticket in their states, even though they're from different political parties. Seems to be like, you've done well for the country, so we'll pledge our support for you. So what has he really achieved that has moved Nigeria forward? And how come we cannot use, as if we're not currently using things like drones? How comes we don't have satellite cameras watching over these villages? These communities have been ravaged. And these guys, they come in and they go and then, so what is really going on in Nigeria? We need the people to tell us, to address the country, to tell us where these insurgencies are coming from. The people from Plateau State already mentioned that the government knows where these things are coming from, these people are coming from. Who's actually hampering Nigerians from, getting the kind of peace that we deserve in our country? Where we have these non-state actors overpowering our military. So how are we going to eventually defeat this level of insurgency that we've seen, this level of terrorism, kidnappings that we've seen? Again, we've said it already, it's been established that the president is not proactive. So do you think things like drones will help Nigeria? Because we need the peace. The people in the villages need the peace. People in their communities where they've been killed need their peace. Again, what is it going to be the next episode of these killings? Because what we've seen so far is that our government knows how to come condemn and go back and summon service chiefs and nobody does anything, and then that's it. But mind you, we have fine soldiers, amazing soldiers, but they just need the weapons. We are at war within our country, but we don't know who we're fighting against. And then we're having so many other people getting displaced all over the country, including Abuja, where the president is commander-in-chief and governor. And he has a state governor in the FCT minister who has not been fired. But there is a lot of internally displaced people within Abuja. So I ask again, does Tinubu really care for Nigeria? If you look at the governance of our country and look at politics, since it's all about 2027, I mean, can you separate them? So we have politicians who are fighting for power because that's all they know. That's what they want. But they cannot really govern. You can't steal an election and say people should be patient with you. You steal an election and say you're the one whose turn it is to fix the country. But yet you cannot do anything. 2 years down the road, from day one when you got into power, you literally condemned the economy. So Nigeria is in a state of depression right now. The economy is depressed. In case you don't understand, we are in a place where we have what you or economists will call economic depression. We're in a recession, completely in a recession. If you want to check, go check the interest rate. We're in a recession. And amidst the recession, there's banditry, there's insurgency, there's killings. You have a president who is inept, a government who is inept, and they're all jostling for the next 2027 election. And they're conquering states. And the governors are bowing to them because they know the amount of destruction that can happen to them. They look at Rivers State and they take a cue from it. They look at Edo State, they see the destruction that happened during the election, and they know they need to survive. The same thing that Makinde did in 2023, the same thing that, as it's been alleged, that Wike did to become the FCT minister, because there's no other thing Wike could have given to Bola Tinubu. He himself sort of asserted that claim anyway when he said, who's Tinubu without me? In the last sit down he had with the press. So if you have all of these politicians from the state to the federal level playing these games and taking the people out of the equation, how can you vouch to give the president the federal electoral votes during the national election and say you will take the state one? How do you make such a bold claim if the people's voices are not supposed to be counting? Or rather, supposed to be counting as well. Just let you know how manipulated our electoral system really is. That's why these guys can jostle around, because they know they will not work fairly. They will not act the right way. And this is where you and I come into place. We need to play this right. We need to call it out quickly. And we need to sensitize other people as well so that they're aware of it. That they're making all this play in the background without us. And definitely when they govern, when they get into power, it will be without us. Because they became governors and presidents without us. So they will govern without us. And they won't care whether or not we are okay. They will look at for those people who help them become president, the people who rigged the election, using the INEC, using the police. At the federal level, the state level, and local government, that's why they will not do anything for your state. That's why the money that's meant to be used to build schools and hospitals and the like, social welfare amenities, will be put in those people's pockets, because those are the people that help them to become what? Governors, a federal government, and president. Until we start to break these things down in simple to understand terms, a lot of people will not understand it. And to you, all those of you, I understand the level of poverty in the country at the moment. When you sell your vote, that poverty will persist. It's not going to go anywhere. That 20,000 they gave you to buy your vote would not be able to feed you for more than a week. After all, can 20,000 feed you for a day in this sort of economy? If they bribed you last time and gave you 200,000 to rig the election for them, how long did it take you to spend that money? These are the kind of questions you need to start asking yourselves. And we need to start to hold these people accountable. You cannot let them off the hook. This pressure we're giving them, we can't stop. We can't let off right now. We have to continue. We have to make sure that we continue to push them hard and demand the kind of leadership that we want and that we deserve. Not the type of one where people are dying and the president is in France and says it's working. What other work matters more than your number one primary duty to protect lives and properties? And then you were away for 18 days while the people got massacred. That's what the man said. Life doesn't really matter or count in Nigeria. Do you agree with him on that? Do you think your life is something that is priceless to this government? Let's answer this question in the comment section. Listen, 2027 is for the fight of the soul of Nigeria. Don't take it for granted. If you do, to your peril. Look at it right now. Check the people in Benue State, in Kogi State, in Plateau State, in Taraba, in Borno State, in Kebbi State. Go and check them out. The question is for them. Which community will be next to be ravaged as they pillage their natural resources? Again, let's have this conversation in the comment section. If you're meeting this content for the first time, like, share, and subscribe. If you've been following us and you've not yet subscribed, please do so. And also recommend this channel to others. I'll catch you up in the next video. God bless you. Bye-bye for now.